trying. I'm about that life, never quit. I'm about that life, keep on striving. I'm about that life, keep on pressing. I'm about that life, keep on shining. I'm about that life, keep on dreaming. I'm about that life, never stopping. What? I'm about that life. I'm about that life. You know, they say I'm dreaming. Yes, I'm dreaming. So what? I don't care. She's about that life. I'm about that life. It's a dream thing, y'all.
Today on About That Life, I sit down and talk to a true funny man. He is a stand-up comedian, actor, media personality, and content creator. He has appeared on many comedy stages such as The Laugh Factory. He was a contestant on the famous America's Got Talent. He appeared in the show I Survived with Bear Grylls, and he has his own special with Dry Bar Comedy. He starred in the Disney Channel original movie Under Wraps 2. He really is talented. The only question is, what will he do next? Here is Jordan Conley. All right, Jordan. Thank you for being on here today. I really
Ayo.
appreciate it. How are you doing today?
Doing fantastic. I have probably my favorite lunch waiting for me after this, so it's just
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I
Yeah.
love the sound of that.
How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for asking. I want everybody to know how we know each other. I believe we met maybe in 2016 at Disneyland. If I'm wrong, am I wrong?
Disney's for sure certain. Let me tell you something. You could have said 1987, and I would have just been like, you know what? Maybe that was the year. I can't tell
Right.
you the year, but 2016 sounds about right. That
We weren't
definitely
even
sounds right.
born in 1987 yet, but
You
we
know
could
what?
have definitely.
Hey, black don't crack. I could have been born in 65, as far as we
No,
know.
it's so true, absolutely.
But
So yeah, Disneyland is what comes
mhm.
to my mind, and I believe it was we were working at the Royal Hall, or it could have been animation for all I knew, but I just always knew that if you were going to be at the Royal Hall, it was going to be a good time.
I think I'm more certain that it was the Royal Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that one sounds I feel like I was there way more than animation.
Yeah.
But we both worked animation together. But I
Yes,
feel
we
like
did.
Royal Hall was the
Right.
initial meetup.
I felt like when I worked there were certain people I saw all the time once I started, and then I would go a whole year without seeing them.
That sounds about right. I feel like what they do is they're just like, oh man, y'all like each other? Yeah, that's what's up. All right, cool. So I'm gonna put you over here. And then I'm gonna have you stay right here. And you're like, no, no, but we work
Mhm.
well together. I know.
Yep,
I
every
know you
single
do.
time. And I just, you were so funny and so fun to work with, and just no drama. And I just wanted to tell you that, like, thank you. It was just a blast to work with you every single time. And I'm happy to say that I got to see what was to come
Oh, thank
earlier
you.
before a lot of people did.
Thank you. That means a lot. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean, for you, it's absolutely the same thing. Because essentially, I feel like working at Disney, there's a lot of things to be that you could be down about or
Hmm.
such and such. But it's like, hey guys, here's the thing. We're at Disney. We got free sign-ins. We can, at the end of the day, there's a bunch of families here to have a good time. I'm gonna just talk to these families and try to see if I can make them laugh, and
That's
then
real
that's about
talk.
it. Yeah,
That's real talk.
that's about it.
And you were really good at that, though. That's the thing, though. A lot of people didn't like the transition position, but
That's my
I felt like
favorite.
you loved the transition
I would
position.
tell people if you don't want transition, please let me know. I will take it. Yeah. So it was well, because it's like for me, that's the number one place where you have nothing to do but talk to people. And
Right.
personally, I think people loved entrance more than anything. Either
Mm,
the entrance or the exit, because you don't do anything. But for
yeah.
me, too long of a day because you're really not doing anything. You just go, this is who's here. Or if you're in the exit, have a good day. Have a magical day. Have a magic. And I'm just
Mm,
like, no, I want to have a good time. And I actually had a goal. I had a goal while working at Disney. I don't know if you have a question about this later, but if you do, I'll give a different answer later. But my goal at Disney, which is why I love transition so much, is because personally, I think it's very easy to make adults laugh. I can make an
Hmm.
adult laugh at the drop of a dime, but making a kid laugh, that's tough. So
It
I was
is.
like, let me just, I'll work transition, and then when we hold, I can work on my comedy to see if I can make just the entire family laugh. And it would always start if you get because if you get a kid to laugh, the adult will laugh
Right.
easily.
Hmm.
The adults are there. But I'm just like kids are very honest. You'll be like ah, ah, and they'll be like, you thought that was funny? And you're like, oh, okay. Wow, that kind of hurt a little bit. And you're 7. You shouldn't be doing that to my spirit. So
Yeah. Brutally honest.
so yeah, so
I loved Fourier because I was in control.
oh
I know that sounds diabolical, but I
no,
was
but that's
like,
a good that is a good spot though when you think about
I'm
it.
controlling the flow of everything. But I love that transition helped establish you even more as a comedian. Because for me, I felt like it was a comedy show watching you. I felt like you were doing stand up for free at Disneyland. They should pay you for all the hours that you have put in. Honestly, I'm not kidding. I'm really serious about it because I got to see a free show all the time when I was working with you. So, my first question is why do you do comedy?
Comedy, I'll give a mixture of the long answer, but shorten it to talk quicker because there's a lot. So, for me, I grew up a very big comedy household. So, like growing up, I knew about the Def Comedy Jams. It was like Def Comedy Jam was happening while I was a kid, but I didn't know anything. So as I got
Mhm.
older, reruns kept playing, so I would watch that. Then I would watch Comic View. I was really big on all the movies of all the comedians. So Eddie Murphy movies, like Robin Williams movies, Steve Martin stuff, Bernie Mac stuff, Martin Lawrence all these so I was like I grew up watching so much comedy. So when I got to school, this is my favorite fact about me, and I'm very excited about this. I've never lost class clout. As long as it's been able to be presented as an award that I have won it. And I'm like, yeah. And then what I kind of learned because I had military parents, we moved for a good period of time, like after every year. Like once I would be 1 year at school, I'm at a new school. 1 year at a school,
Mhm.
I'm at a new school. Um, for me, it kind of became a game of how fast can I make friends. And what I noticed is the more I made people laugh, the more joy it gave me because I was like, you know what, people are having a good time. This is good. And then it morphed to me getting older, being in high school. And in high school, I was never a clique person. I wanted to
Mhm.
be uh, just the dude that could make everybody laugh. I was low key. I say low key because no one will really ever admit it. I was a popular dude in school, not because I was the best football player or whatever. It's because I talked to everybody. I literally went around campus. If I saw somebody or whatever, I would talk to them and found out the people who were the most quiet or the most shy, those were cool people. And I would make them laugh. And I was like, dude, this is cool. Making people laugh. I'm bringing smiles to faces. It was like very heartwarming. And uh, it became a task where it's like, if I can make people laugh, I think they can forget about whatever's happening for at least a split second. And it'll be good. So that's kind of why I love doing comedy. What got me into stand up was um, taking all of that because it was actor first. It was 100% actor. And I was like, oh, I could just do it on TV or movies or whatever. So actor first, and then 20 snap. This is I'm trying to do the math because it's 2024 now. Oh, 2015. Great. Because it's been 9 years this year of doing stand up. My first time doing stand up was in 2012,
Wow.
but uh, I loved it, but I didn't want to do it again. I made a promise to myself when I get a car, I'll do this again because I was too afraid to take the bus late at night. So I was like, when I get a car, I'll do this again. 3 years later, 2015, got my car, uh, dropped out of school, did stand up, and then never looked back because I was like, oh, this is like the real way to just do the thing that I love, like as a job and a career. And then yeah, been doing it ever since.
Oh, I love that. I love that you mentioned Comic View because I remember watching that all the time. My cousins, my older cousins used to love watching Comic View and everything. That's actually kind of how I like got introduced to Ricky Smiley and everything else because
Oh,
we miss Robert. I don't know
yep.
if you've seen that one, but yeah, I love that one. Is it fun being a comedian, honestly?
Uh, okay, I'll give you two answers to this. Yes, and potentially. I'll say potentially first because it's really based on your mindset.
Mm,
Anything that comes with entertainment, there is a possibility to always be negative about the job that you're in because it's not going your way. You're getting a lot of no's. You're not making the progress that you think you should make. But for me, I think it's very fun being a stand-up comedian because one, again, I get to make people laugh and bring the smiles to the faces, which is my favorite passion. And then number two, I'm aware that regardless of what I would have chosen to do, it's always a journey. It's a trek. I was blessed enough to have good, like great people around me to kind of warn me about how tough the industry could be. So it's like when things come at me, I'm never like, oh, sure, some things can hurt, but I always, whatever's for me is for me. And I was talking to a friend about this the other day, actually. The thing that keeps me going in stand-up comedy as an actor and everything is I think too many people, this is my personal thought, I think too many people focus on what their goal is, like the big goal. So they'll be like, oh, my 2024 goal is to let's just make something up. My 2024 goal is to be in a movie, right?
mm,
Too many people are focused on being a movie that they forget the steps that are important to get to where you want to. So like people be like, I didn't do a movie in 2024. It's like, okay, but did you or did you not meet new people that are all in the industry that you know have hands here and there? And you're like, oh yeah, I mean, I guess I did do that. Did you not do three short films? Did you not take a class where you met these
mm,
casting directors that taught you a new thing that got you booked on like a couple commercials? And like, did you? So it's like people forget those small wins because they're so focused
mm.
on the big win. And in comedy, um, I have so many small wins. And by so many, it's the small wins or whatever I want to be. So my first year in comedy, one of my biggest wins, two of them actually, because I'll never forget them. They're super huge. Two of my biggest wins in comedy have been the first time I was ever put on a flyer. That was huge for me. Because some people will skip that because they'll be like, oh, but I
Mm.
didn't, I'm supposed to be in LA. And it's like, yeah, but when have you ever been on a flyer before? So I was on a flyer, didn't realize, by the way, how easy it was to make a flyer. Had no idea. All I knew was I'm on this guy's flyer. And then number two, the very first time I got an introduction, it was at an open mic. The first time I got an introduction where they were like, where I was the treat. So he literally is an open mic, is in Irvine, over at the Irvine Spectrum, and
Mm.
he's like looking at the list and he's like, all right, up now we have so and so, but oh, up next, you are in for a treat. And I was like, I'm a what? I'm a treat. This is nice. Guys, people are looking forward to seeing me. And it was just an open mic. I'm doing 3 minutes of trying out random stuff. And he said, oh, you're in for a treat. I was like, that's great. So those are some of the biggest milestones I've ever gotten in life for comedy, which is great.
Do you think you're funny? Because it
Yes.
seems like it's important to be funny, right?
Yes. I it's dang, I feel like I'm gonna sound like one of those people that's just always trying to be too motivational. But it's just it's pretty much how I was raised. I have literally both my granddads are pastors, my dad's a minister. So it's just like I have so much positivity and encouragement around me that I technically like to encourage others in general. I think whatever you do in life, if you don't think you're good at it, you're gonna downgrade yourself. So for
Mm.
me in stand up, I always go in with the mindset of, oh, I'm funny. I'm absolutely funny. Um because that way it kind of takes um it it everything becomes an inward battle essentially. So if you don't think you're funny, it's kind of equivalent to being in school where if you tell yourself, I mean, I studied for the test, but I mean, I'm nervous. It's like, no, you studied. You're prepared. That's what you have to say. You are prepared. If you don't think you're prepared, then you're going to start to second guess some of the stuff. It's like you've been put on this earth for a reason. What's the thing you love to do? You're good at that thing. So personally, I think I'm funny, and it because I well because I know I'm funny. We'll switch the words. Because I know I'm funny, it actually helps me out a lot more on stage. Because I go on stage telling myself, "Oh, you're funny." It's just a matter of making sure you perform the way you're supposed to perform. So as long as if I do the things I'm supposed to do that I've practiced, that I've rehearsed, that I've been like I have a very specific gift to be funny. If I just trust that gift, then they'll laugh. But if I don't think I'm funny, I'll go out there and yeah, man, that's why the bird that's why he fell. Yeah, man. Yeah, my dad, this is crazy. He's like, what's happening? He's like, no, I thought they were gonna laugh, but they didn't.
When did you discover that you were funny?
I'm gonna personally say where I knew I was funny, like hands down knew I was funny, is gonna be high school. But I think I had an inkling that I was funny. Uh, Personally, sixth grade.
Mm.
In sixth grade, I know this. I'll give you both answers. Sixth grade, I had a thought that I was funny because um, I very specifically remembered I would do over the top. I'm gonna say dumb jokes. Um, I would do dumb jokes knowing it would make people laugh. The dumb joke that I would do, okay, because it's not a smart joke. If you don't know how to do it safely, it's a dumb joke. I would purposefully run into the basketball pole and act like I hurt myself
Oh my
because
God.
that always made people laugh. I would do, ugh, oh my gosh, and it was over the top, and they were like, people were laughing. Like one of my biggest comedy influences to start off in comedy, which I believe you know him. If you know comic, you know that. You remember Arnez J?
Yes.
So
Yes.
animated, so big. So
Very.
that was a thing for me. I just ran into that pole. It was huge. That made people laugh. And then that was also the first time I won class clown. So I was just like,
Mm.
oh, snap, I think there's a thought here. But then high school was like, oh no, I know I'm funny. And that was because after going through junior high, I had a period in junior high where I was a quote unquote bad boy. I wasn't bad. I tried to be because the bad guys were winning, but failed. But either way, it once I switched it back to who I naturally was, freshman year of high school, I actually got, I don't know if it was a full nomination. Someone came to me and was like, "Hey, you can't be in the running for class clown." And I was like, I never asked. And apparently somebody had nominated me my
Oh,
freshman
okay.
year. Because the yearbook is supposed to be about the seniors. And
Yes.
apparently my name got brought up as class clown. And I was like, yeah, we're here.
You have
Yeah.
arrived.
Yeah. So
You got a nomination. Like that's
that's
next level stuff. Come on now.
yeah, so that's when I was like, oh, we're good. We're literally good. So yeah.
I just also want to bring up the fact that you said your father and who else is a pastor in your family?
No, my dad's a minister.
Oh,
Like he's
minister.
in the pulpit, but both my granddads were pastors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And that makes sense though, because I used to love the pastor bit that you did on Instagram.
Oh,
You need to do that again. You need to do
it,
that again.
you know the funny thing
That
is
was so funny.
the biggest reason I stopped it was just time. It took
Yeah.
a lot of the videos, even if it doesn't look like I put at least my older YouTube videos, even if it looked like it was a low quality video, I spent hours editing and like getting the right photos and making sure it wasn't copywritten and stuff. That at a certain point, I was just like, this is the lot, and I'm still trying to do other stuff. So I would like to bring it back, but it's I mean
Please,
it's
please.
yeah, it's yeah, so
I mean, that's just an old trope, right? The pastor, like it's
hmm
just there's so many different stereotypes and archetypes that you can do with the pastor. And so I love any comedy about pastors. It always just gets me for sure. And then I also love earlier that you said you became popular because you knew how to just talk to people. And that
hmm
is true from my experience with you. You can talk to anybody. And especially working at Disney, you were just engaging with everybody. So I get it. I do believe that class clowns, as we call them, I think it's a little rude, but it's whatever. That's what they've been calling people for a long time. The class clown can be like the bad guy or the bad boy, but sometimes they are very popular, In
Mm,
my school, a lot of times the popular people were involved in the drama club, so they were very animated people. So
mm.
I completely relate with that. When did you get your start in stand-up comedy? You already talked about it, but walk us through that entire process.
Um, I'm gonna not count the 2012 because I did
Okay.
it. I did it one time. It was literally well, I'll tell the story, but I don't fully count it because again, I took 3 years off of just
Hmm.
not doing it. Um, we'll go. So what happened in 2012 is a friend of mine was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing an open mic. I think you should go with me. Like, I think we should do it together."
Hmm.
And I was like, dude, I'm so down. Because prior to 2012, even though I had never done stand-up comedy, because I had watched so much stand-up comedy, the Def Comedy Jam, Comic Views, all that, I had a notebook of jokes that I just wrote jokes in for if and when I ever do stand-up. So I just pulled out that notebook, 2012, did some jokes from it. That was the end of it. But 2015, when I got the car, I was like, okay, want to do stand up again officially. Had a uncle that did stand up, and by uncle I mean known the guy for forever, family friend.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
because I was like, if he was my real uncle, I would have known he was a comedian. But either way, point is, he was a family friend, went to the church, and I didn't realize or not even realize. I just never knew he was a comedian. But like he was a
Hmm.
comedian. Like he was on Comic View and all that. Like he had spotlighted on everything. So
Nice.
yeah, so he caught wind that I wanted to do stand up through another family friend because I told them specifically, hey, I'm gonna do stand up. And they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna connect you with so and so." And then I was like, "Oh yeah, I know him. Didn't know he was a comedian." He calls it the 30-day plan. uh, I don't know if it's the 30-day plan to success or just the 30-day plan, but he literally says you take 3 minutes, you write 3 minutes of comedy, and you do that same 3 minutes for 30 days straight. You don't add anything unless you get more than 3 minutes, but your goal is to do those 3 minutes and keep working the 3 minutes, fixing anything, whatever's not working, try to fix it, adjust it, rearrange it, whatever, and do as many mics, open mics as possible.
Mhm.
So he said you should be getting at least if I remember correctly, he said at least 7 a week. So you should at least have one a day. But I was so passionate about it, I got the car. I had nothing to do because at the time I was only working day shifts. So I did about 12 to 15 open mics a week for that
Wow.
like 30-day process. And then at the end of the 30 days, I told him, and mind you, I ended up having like 5 minutes because a lot of the open mics gave you more than 3 minutes. So I
Mhm.
had 5 minutes and I told him, I was like, hey, so this set is great. Because when you do something so much and you repeat the process so many times, at a certain point, if you don't apply yourself, it won't be good. But if you apply yourself, it should be quality. And I never forgot he said, "Okay, I got you a show." Because he was working church gigs. There's like a church circuit that he was a part of, and I wasn't officially on the show, like I wasn't on the flyer, but we get to the venue. It was a big church. It was like a 500 seater. We get
Mhm.
there, introduces me to the guy running the show, and he goes, "Hey, you're gonna open the entire show." You got 5 minutes. Because I told him
Oh,
I had a
wow.
great 5 minutes. He said, you got 5 minutes. I did that five. Uh, everybody was laughing. 500 people. There were people that stood up and clapped. I got a standing ovation from a good
Come on
small
now.
group of people. And I was like, oh, this is good. And then after that, I immediately got introduced and added to that church circuit group. So yeah, that's the whole start into stand up was that 30-day process of trying to perfect uh not perfect, but try to get a strong foot in the door that says, "Hey, I can show you how I will work and you can see the results of the work that I put in." And he literally just gave me that opportunity instantly after his 30 days was up. So yeah.
Come on, standing ovation. I just love how prepared you were.
Yeah.
I just love how prepared you were for that moment. I've watched this interview with Dion Cole in the past
Mm,
talking about how, like you never know when your moment will be, but you always want to prep for it so that when it does arrive, you're ready. And I just love how prepared you were and how dedicated you were that you would put in more than 3 minutes, that you were
mm,
doing that many sets a week, that's crazy.
yeah.
Like,
For me, it's like equivalent to watching like you watch like an American Idol or you watch like old YouTube clips of people who got discovered. It's
hmm
not always what you think it's going to be. It's not always essentially the American Idol thing where you walk in and they're waiting to see you perform. In some instances, it's you're uh, off the street doing something and you didn't realize so and so walked by who's friends with this person and they go, "Hey, that's that's great. Can you do this?" Or it could be another instance where you're just with a friend and they're like, "Oh, I got something set up for you." And you're like, "Oh, what is it?" It's a surprise. You go and then you have to perform. Or there's so many instances, but one of my favorite ones is the who in here can do this thing. So like it's like some event or whatever, and we're like, we need a volunteer to come. I was the king of the volunteer. If there was a, hey, we need someone to give me the mic. Just give me the microphone, please. That's at least what got me to be like that person initially, to be aware of if you're prepared for this,
Mm.
regardless what happens, it could be the drop of a dime. It's kind of like a singer. You don't want to be the singer who they're like, oh, you can sing, right? Can you sing something real quick? Oh, I just need my tea and then give me it's like no, if Beyonce and all these people are here and they're trying to find out, hey, sorry if this seems last minute, we need a singer for such and such. You can't at that moment, regardless of what it is, you should have put in so much preparation just in
Mm.
life, preparing for your skill, that when they ask for it, you're just like, I'm good. Mind you, I need my tea. I definitely need my tea, but I know how to get through this and show you that I can rock with it. So yeah.
How does it feel listening and watching people laugh at what you're doing?
Oh, that's an incredible feeling. It's as cheesy as it sounds. It's like my fuel, if that makes
Mm.
sense. Because with the laughter, it lets me know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So essentially the feeling is I don't know if I've described the feeling. It's quite interesting. It's for sure energy boost. It feels like um here's an analogy. It feels like a long day of work and all you've been waiting for is to sit back and kick your feet up and take a drink of your favorite like soda, or just you have that meal you've been waiting for that's been in the fridge. You got that turkey stuffing and mac and cheese leftovers, and you just like, I just can't wait to sit back and just that's there we go. That's the feeling. It is
Yes.
just, we're good. We're in the element. So
You
yeah,
still think about your lunch, aren't you?
sure am. I'm so excited about this thing.
I understand. Trust me, I do. I get it. So you talked about acting being
Mhm.
sort of a love before comedy. Do you think comedians make great actors?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Uh, well, actually, so I have Disney tattoos on the left side. Might be tough to see in general, but Genie and Mushu are right there, and that's literally there as a uh, homage or paying homage to Eddie Murphy and Robin Williams,
hmm
who personally I think are, I'd say, probably the best comedian actors. But then obviously I would have Jamie Foxx up here, but he hasn't
Yeah.
done anything Disney wise. Uh, but it's just like when you look at that
Don't forget Soul. Soul.
Oh, you know what it is? It's because he's not a comedian in that. Because
That's
technically my
true.
left arm is dedicated to the comedy. So it's
I
literally
got you.
Timon and Pumbaa are up top. then Genie and Mushu. So like
Mhm.
if I put his character, I mean, mind you, solid character, great character, but it's like he wasn't funny. He was a teacher. He was a school teacher, played the piano, got his thing. Great story, but yeah. So it's like if he did a comedian thing, I would throw that there.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like it's the best because I do. I'm aware that comedy is a tough thing to do. As far as like if you're a dramatic actor, it's tough to do comedy. But
Mhm.
on the flip side, if you're a comedian, it's not necessarily easy to do comedy because you still have to be natural. And there's a lot of people that think you got to go in and do a character. But I just feel like as stand-up comedians, we've already tapped into this thing that says we're performing. We're putting on a performance. We're putting on a show. We are a character of sorts. So transitioning that into okay, action. That's equivalent for me to saying, coming to the stage next, Jordan Conley. Just switch that intro for action. And it's me, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll just do the lines that I have rehearsed and then perform it. And I'll put emotion behind it. As a comedian, I literally do all of that. So,
You've already talked about a little bit about some of your inspirations. Would you like to name all of the people that have inspired you to be the comedian that you are?
okay, here's the thing. All is a lot. I will go the most influential because there's so many and they all for sure. So we'll go the most influential. I'll save the last one. I'll save number one for last. An obvious one just for the success they have currently and how big they are in stand up because they're the biggest comedian. Kevin Hart. For me, especially one of the biggest things that has inspired me as far as what he's done is if you look at before Kevin Hart, what the the ceiling, I guess, for what you can achieve as a stand-up comedian, there's a solid ceiling. Kevin Hart broke through that ceiling so aggressively. You got a shoe deal? You got a Nike shoe deal? You can
Mhm.
do that as a comedian? You have your own network now? LOL network. The amount of things that he has done, I honestly didn't think it was possible to do as a comedian. I was just like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
you get big in comedy, and then Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, Cat Williams, Bernie Mac. You just perform all over, and then you do movies. That's what it is. And then Kevin was like, no, I think you can go way beyond that. And you're like, oh, so now I can kind of be like a pro athlete, like borderline going on to be a billionaire, maybe just being a comedian. So he's up there for expanding the mind of as far as what you can do within the world of stand-up comedy. I mean, I've already alluded to the other three names that are in there for sure. Cat Williams, his Pimp Chronicles is probably it's in my top two. I'm always torn on if it's number one. Favorite comedy specials I've ever seen. It is just pure rapid fire. It's only
Mhm.
45 minutes and he doesn't stop. It is just flying at you left and right. Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, for the most obvious reasons of those are um, I won't say for like the original, because obviously you got like the Red Foxes and the Dick Gregory's, those guys.
Mhm.
But like Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor, those are like, as far as I know, in my mind, those are the OG rock stars of comedy. How they took it, their poise, their confidence on stage. Richard Pryor not afraid to tackle the issues. Eddie Murphy not afraid to go at people and just be themselves. So those all three of those guys are up there. Bernie Mac, his
Mm.
set on Kings of Comedy,
Yes.
it's one of the greatest sets I've just ever watched in the history of comedy. That
Yes.
is incredible. And then snap because I realize this list is kind of just starting to fly up. Robin Williams, and the funny thing is I got introduced to his stand-up comedy late.
Mm.
The thing for me with Robin Williams, honestly, wasn't necessarily his movies, it was his interviews and how he was, because his mind, my favorite thing I've seen from Robin Williams, um, or any interview ever, is Robin Williams on Inside the Actors Studio.
Yes.
And I forgot the exact question, but it's something along the lines of like, how does your mind work? Like, how do you come up with the stuff? And this man took a scarf
Yep.
from the audience, and I don't
Hmm.
know how long it was. It might have been 5 minutes, could have been 10
It
minutes.
was longer than 5 minutes.
I feel like it was like 10 to 15 minutes,
That
and
was question one. That was-
he literally just, and it wasn't like he spent 10, 15 minutes doing one scene. He did like 50,000 scenes with one
Mhm.
scarf in just rapid fire. I've never been more jaw dropped in life to be like, that's how quick you are? That's the Flash level speed. Like, how do you do
Mhm.
that? That is the most impressive thing. So when I finally was introduced to a stand-up comedy, um, my favorite special of his is it's called, and I don't know if this is the official name, but this is the name that I've always seen. It's called An Evening with Robin Williams. He's in
Yes.
San Francisco. He's on the
Mhm.
stage. No microphone. He's just talking. He does some jokes, but then he does some improv, then he does some characters. And I'm just like, that's a one-man show. Absolutely incredible.
Mhm.
So Robin Williams there. Um, Separate from stand-up comedy specifically, Jim Carrey is a billion percent in there. Movie-wise, what he's done just blows my mind. He's one of those comedians that let me properly see that you can get way more laughs from just not just from talking, but with your body. So that, and then we'll round it out. So the last three, um, one, I think this person is legitimately the funniest person ever in just the history of stand up. Do you know a guy named Tony Roberts?
Yes.
Tony Roberts. He, if people listening and watching this, if you've never seen Tony Roberts, the best way to describe him is I got to perform with him for a weekend, and it was 5 shows. Every single show, um, within 30 seconds, people were in tears, and those tears remained for the entire time he was on stage. He is
Hmm.
rapid fire in your face. You really don't have a second to breathe. That's how good he is.
Hmm.
So I just, as far as stand-up comedy goes, there's obviously amazing comedians, but the people that are like just punching you in the face with jokes 100% of the time, that's not as common as people think. Because a lot of times you ebbs and flows. You want to take them through a
Right.
journey, then the punchline. Tony Roberts is like, no, you getting punchlines. So that's great. Number two, again, getting to the people, the biggest influences that started me off in stand up. Um, Again, that will be Arnez J coming in at number two. He's actually the very first properly over the top comedian that I remember. As far as like,
Hmm.
oh, you're gonna tell a joke and then you about to do a whole cartwheel and handstand and do these insane act outs. That yeah, Arnez J is that he will always be like a top for me. And then number one, the OG, the first stand-up special I ever saw. The reason why I am actually more geared to a family friendly comedian is Sinbad. Sinbad
Yes.
is by far he is um I'd say he's a an underrated goat. In the world of
Yes.
stand-up comedy, everybody knows Sinbad, but in the world of the world, like actual society, there's people that know Sinbad and they're like, oh no, he's amazing. But then you have that generation of people that's like, Sinbad? And it's like, no, no, no. He was really big at his time. The only difference is
Hmm.
there were technically other comedians around him that were bigger because you're in his era, you still got Cosby, you still got Eddie Murphy's doing their thing, but like family friendly superstars, people don't really you
Yep.
can't think of that where the entire family is in tears. Like that is him. Kids, you watch his comedy special, there's kids in the audience having a great time. No one else could do that. And I was like, man, if you can get the kids to laugh, you're literally because I was a kid when I first watched him. This first, which is where I say Pimp Chronicles. I'm t torn between one and two. My first comedy special I ever watched. My dad played afros and bell bottoms.
Yes.
Sinbad, he has that blue and black
Yes.
cross jacket jumpsuit thing. He comes out and all he does is talk about kids nowadays versus when he was a kid. And I was crying laughing. So everything that he was able to do and what he was able to put his hands on as far as movies. Jingle All the Way is my all-time favorite Christmas movie. Just brilliant. So Sinbad is that person that started me off in this world that was like comedy. This is the guy.
Wow.
So
Oh, that's amazing. I was not expecting you to say Sinbad. I just almost jumped out of my seat when you said that. First of all, I love that Netflix has a lot of his specials on there lately.
hmm
That was nice to watch during quarantine, honestly. And then, of course, House Guests. That's my thing. Like
with the Big Mac, that's all he wanted was a Big Mac. And then he
Mhm. Him and Phil Hartman. That was actually a really good pairing. That was
oh,
really, really good. What would you say is the difference between a comedian and a comic?
oh shoot. A comedian and a comic. I feel like there's a lot of different kind of views on
Hmm.
both of the things because I've heard people say the same thing, but in reverse, where they say, "Oh, a comedian is this, but a comic is this," and then another person say, "Well, actually, I think a comic is this, and a comedian is this." Um, Personally, this is just my personal opinion. I feel like a comic is this is the thing I'm going to give you. This is the thing that I provide. Whereas a comedian is like, here are the things that I will give you. I will give you a plethora of things in this world. Like a comedian to me is a um the Jamie Foxx, Eddie Murphy, Jim Carrey's, where they're just the Robin Williams, all those guys, where they're just like, you want stand-up comedy? Cool. Do you want a quick interview spot here? Cool. Do you want a quick movie here? Cool. You want a TV show? Cool. What do you want? I will provide it. Where a comic is like, give me the microphone and I'll do that thing. Or like I'll just be very specific to the stage. So yeah, so
Mm.
that's I think that's for me the difference. 'Cause like Will Ferrell, as far as I know, I don't think he's a stand-up comedian. Like I haven't seen him ever do stand-up. Maybe he did
Right.
before, but he's still a comedian because
Right,
of all
exactly.
that he can provide separate from, I mean, I haven't seen him do stand-up, but he'll host something at the Oscars or whatever, and it'll be the funniest thing you've seen. So it's like where like a comic is very much I could do a roast, I can do the stage, I can, give me a microphone, I will give you comedy. But the comedian is just all aspects of what
Mm.
comedy can be. Yeah.
Thank you for explaining that to us muggles. I definitely heard, I forget who was talking about it, and I was like, oh, I never even thought there was a difference. But there, you're right. There
Mind
is
you,
a
but
difference.
again, that's just my personal way of looking at it.
No,
That's how I view it. Because again, you might hear someone else say something different, and
yeah.
be like, all right, cool.
But I love the way you broke that down because that actually helped me understand more. As far as laughter goes, are you easily impressed in your regular life? Are you able to laugh at other people?
It's hard for me to laugh if I'm at a show and you've asked me to critique.
Mm,
Separate from that, I will laugh at everything. I am actually personally, I am I am a combination of more and less funny when I'm not on stage because I love doing just dumb humor. Dumb humor cracks. Again, it goes back to school and running into a pole. I will do some of the dumbest jokes. I can't even give you like I wish I can give a better example. But a true comment that I got was from someone who had like they had known me for a minute. We were like friends, but it wasn't like close friends. And I just kept doing jokes. Never saw me do stand up. And then they were just like, "You do this professionally?" And I was like, "I know, right? That's crazy." Because I don't, there's no like real, like, I'm not trying to be the best comedian when I'm not on stage. It'll just be like, "Oh man, my knee hurts. Oh yeah, you want some oils for your knees?" And I'm like, "What was that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just thought it was funny." So it's like I just do that stuff off stage. Personally, I think when I'm around others, I think everyone else is always typically funnier than me. I'm way more laughable. Just don't tell me to critique you. If you tell me to
Mhm,
critique you, I will stop and just watch. Be like, okay, I thought that was funny. That
mhm.
was really funny. Yeah. But as far as like, because I'm always a fan of comedy. I can never not watch comedy and and not have a good time. No matter how long I've been doing stand up, no matter how much I see stand up comedy, I'm always a fan of comedy. And then I'm always a fan of people having a good time. So if I'm in a room and I'm the only person who's providing laughter, okay, cool. But if I'm in a room and everyone's providing the jokes, oh, it's about to be a fantastic time. So yeah.
Who in your regular life makes you laugh just on a daily basis?
Oh, regular life daily basis. I can tell you this much. I personally think my brother's actually funnier than me. I talk
Hmm.
about this a lot actually. I swear he's funnier than me. The difference I think the funniest people in the entire world aren't stand-up comedians. It's that one person in your family that when people are like, "Who's funny?" You ever met my uncle this, auntie this is they when I tell you they cut up. Those are always the funniest. They just don't do stand-up comedy. So personally, I always thought my brother is insanely hilarious. My OG funniest person just in life still is the funniest person. He just passed away. But not that he just did, but it's like he passed away, so it's like he was the funniest person. My granddad on my mom's side, the funniest person in the entire world. He had stories for days. He's for me, he's the greatest storyteller to ever live. Just the funniest person. I watched this man. He's so good at just being funny. Every time we go out to eat at a restaurant, he always got something for free. Something.
Oh.
Every time. And it was normally a dessert because that's what he wanted. But the minute the waiter came, didn't matter who it was. Boy, girl, young, old, didn't matter anything. Race, none of it mattered. Schmoozed them every time. Out the gate, they're laughing. And he would have them laughing the whole time. I never forgot one day waiter came and he's like, um, hey, hi, can I get your drinks? Yeah, I'll take the discount. And it was just like, and I was like, that's bold. But he had age on his side because I tried to do this and it doesn't work. And my grandma was like, you just need some more experience on your side. And I was like, okay. But like he said, can I have a discount? And then there's like the guy just kind of chuckled. Every time he came back, my granddad had a new form of asking for a discount. So it was literally like the next time he came back, y'all do the senior citizens menu? No, y'all don't do that. Next time they came back, I was a Marine. I don't know if you got any Marine thing. And then the guy came back. He's, I was a Purple Heart. I got wounded in war. Do y'all do anything for that? Guy came back. Uh, I went to college. Does that do it just kept happening. And then eventually this dude brought a dessert like a chocolate cake or something. And I was like, wow. And he goes, see what I did? And I was like, couldn't believe it. But imagine that every time we went out to eat. Every single time.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
My wife is hilarious. She's hilarious.
Oh.
She's like how to word it. She's more of she's kind of a mixture of like zany but clever. But the thing
Hmm.
that makes it funnier is that a lot of times she doesn't just do the joke. She'll do the joke and be like, huh? 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 And you're like, why would you do that? It was already, I just want to make sure you saw it. You saw it. So
I love that. So you
yes.
married a funny person. That's good. So then you can laugh sometimes. You don't
Hmm.
always have to provide the laughs. I enjoyed your stand up on dry bar comedy because I love watching dry bar comedy. You were amazing
Nice.
in that. How was it to be at that venue?
Okay, well, here's the thing. There's a lot of weird complications about the dry bar special. Personally for me, it's not my favorite one, and the only reason why it's not my favorite is because when I filmed it,
Yeah.
it was during COVID. So like
Oh.
it was a COVID thing because in my mind it was gonna be like, hey, we'll film it and we'll put it out. And I
Hmm.
was like, oh, COVID's happening. So the name of my dry bar is half capacity purely because the room, like I got to name the special after it was done. The room was half filled. Like, and when
Mm.
if you look, they do a part where they cut away to the audience. Everyone's wearing a mask. And if you watch any other dry bar special, you just see bodies. It wasn't like that for me. It was like half full. So I talked about COVID and what my experiences were in COVID, but then they released the special like 2 years later, and I was like, oh, I'm a different person now. No, like I don't, my jokes are different. So for me, it was like a weird thing to experience at the time. loved everything about it because it
Right,
was
right,
like, oh,
right.
this is what's happening. This is the thing. So really, the thing that makes it weird for me is when I watched the special when it came out. COVID had been talked about to death. Like it had been talked about by every comedian. We had technically gotten past it. So when my special dropped, I was like, I honestly just thought it wasn't gonna come out. I was like, no, no, they're gonna think I'm still talking about COVID. Like I was so thrown. But no, the experience in general was absolutely incredible. They were very sweet. It was over in Provo, Utah.
I love
Um,
Utah.
yeah, it was the venue was nice, the people running it were incredible. And then just to be able to talk about really what was kind of just the hot topic because I had other jokes I had been working for a while, but I had during COVID I had developed COVID jokes, just stuff that I had been noticing in COVID, and I was like, I mean, if I don't do this now, I'm never gonna tell these jokes again because once COVID's over, so are these jokes.
Right.
Because I didn't want to dwell on something that was a traumatic thing for like a lot of the world. I was like, I'll just do it now because, yeah. So I was like, that was really cool because most of the jokes I had developed before that comedy special, let's say 6 months of just doing those jokes before I was like, hey, you want to come do a set? Great. This is what happened. I don't want to talk about anything else because this is the very trending topic and I just have jokes for it. So yeah, so that was incredible. Just to go, the whole thing was set up. People are coming there to see you. That was great. It was great.
And your parents were in the audience, right?
Hmm.
Oh, that's amazing. I
Yeah.
love that. That was a cute little sweet little shout out that you did. Now, of course, I have to talk about AGT because you're on here now. We have to talk about that. Can you walk us through the audition process and just your time on there and just how life has changed for you since AGT?
Um, okay, I have a very unique audition process. It's different from I think what most people believe AGT is. Because I think more people think about what AGT was. AGT
Mm,
was you go big room of people, you got your number on, and then you go and you just try it out. For me, that wasn't the case. Especially when I had went COVID literally just technically ended, like things were more open. But at that point, I had technically been asked to audition for AGT uh 4 times prior. Like literally every year
wow.
before I got on, it was just a producer on AGT saying, "Hey, we saw a video of yours. Do you can you submit to be a part of it?" So mine was just a submission. I sent in a video, but it was sending in a video because a producer asked me specifically to send in a video. And then I was excited at first, and then you get no's a few times and you're just like, I mean, I'm not hurt by it, but I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna shoot my whole shot being like, oh, this is
Right.
gonna be the year. It's like, oh, just submit it. Literally, like when I got it, it was just the fifth year, and it was just me being like, yeah, cool, I'll just submit again. And then it just worked. Like that was the first time they were like,
Mm,
hey, so you made it to you're gonna get to audition because it wasn't like you audition like again what you see on TV is like you do the little thing to the side and then blah. It's like no you just go directly to TV for their big audition now because like
mm,
when you think of like the original American Idol and all that it's just you're in a little room and it's just the judges but here it's just nope you're on TV. This is the official audition everything. The process before getting to that audition was I just had to keep submitting them jokes
mm,
and be like, hey, this is what I want to do. And then here's different variations of what I want to do. And then they were because it's TV and it's live TV or sorry, not the audition part is actually pre-taped. That's why they have the live shows after. But it's all about making sure that what you say is appropriate. So you have to it's kind of screening the jokes to make sure like they're okay and blah blah blah. So you have to go through that. And then my favorite part, and this is the part that I have that no one has. I wish it was a bigger thing to be talked about, but it can never be talked about because of contracts and stuff. But I'm the only person to properly be able to wear my nerdy stuff on stage. like ever, because they were asking me about outfits and the video that they saw that they wanted that they saw, it was me, I'm at the Laugh Factory and I'm wearing a SpongeBob Christmas sweater. And they're like, "Hey, can you bring that but like not with the character because that's cool." And I was like, "That's impossible. You want me to wear a themed crazy over the top charactery thing without a character? It just sounds like you want me to wear a tie-dye shirt." I sent them pictures of what they were asking for, minus the character. But
Right, right.
most of my wardrobe is just nerdy. There's a logo somewhere. So NBC, uh, for what AGT is, that's Universal.
Yes.
So I literally just was like, "Hey, I'm gonna send you something else." I sent them the Minion sweater. I sent them a Dunder Mifflin sweater, and I
Mm,
sent them a Shrek, like a donkey specific shirt. So they can look at those and be like, "Hey, I know you said no characters or anything, but like this is all literally like owned by Universal, which is NBC and all this stuff. So how's that?" They initially said no, and then they were like, "Actually, that Minion sweater is really like we like that look." And
uh-huh.
then they came back to me. It was a process. They came back to me like a week or two later and they said, "Hey, here's the thing. We're gonna go with the Minion hoodie. You just can never say it was Minions. You can't refer to it. Nothing will be said, but you can wear it."
Wow. Okay.
So that's why I'm like, I wish more people would be able to talk about it, but we can't. We literally just can't talk
Yeah,
about it
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's like, it's like a mixture of a kind of a copyright thing, but also legal things and all that. Because once you get into TV and all that, there's just extra things like the
Hmm.
not everyone knows you can't just drink Dasani on TV. You got to take that logo off, take that paper off, and then because that's all
Hmm.
endorsements and just legal stuff and money and blah blah blah. So it's like, yeah, you can wear it. We've got approval. Nothing will ever be said about this. You can't say it's Minions. You just do your set. And then yeah,
Okay.
so that was I was so happy that I got that thing. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I didn't know all that, but I was crying at the end. I can tell you that right now. I was crying before you started crying. I was like, oh my gosh, I know somebody who's on America's Got Talent. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
And
you know what I
he
forgot? I forgot the ending part. The way the life has changed. It's very interesting now because I'm able to do shows where some people actually recognize me and know me.
hmm
And it also AGT was the first thing to jumpstart my social media to getting more. So yeah.
Yeah, I noticed
The-
that. Look at you. Over 100,000 followers. I saw that. It wasn't like that last year. You had like 80 something,
No,
80,000.
actually, so this is the crazy part. As of um April of this year, I had about a little over 30,000 followers.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to go overseas with a friend of mine. Her name is Ashley Gutermuth, if you want to look her up on social media. She
Okay,
has a
well,
huge following. She has over a million, I think over like 2 million across platform, something like that. Like she has a big following. And I was telling her because I was getting frustrated because I couldn't figure out social media. AGT got me to a certain point, and then the seasons move so quick that if you can't capitalize, that's it. That
right,
we're already
exactly.
moved on. So
Yeah.
AGT was they got me to my first 10,000. I had more followers before. My account got hacked and deleted 2 weeks before I got on AGT.
Mm,
So I had a new Instagram account. AGT boosted me to re-get a following. So then I spent the time trying to build up to the 30K. And then I was getting frustrated because like I'm trying everything under the sun. I can't figure it out. I'm currently working this schedule to post. And Ashley, she just goes and she has, again, so many. And she just goes, "What's the schedule thing you're doing? You just have a video that's funny, just post it. Don't worry about algorithms and blah, blah, blah. Just post. If you want to know how you get more views, keep posting."
mm,
Like she was like, if you have a video and it's funny, and then you have another video that's funny, why'd you save it? Just post both of them. So literally from to May to now, uh, On average, mind you, there's some days I might miss, but on average, I post 2 to 3 videos a day of just whatever works, whatever I think is funny, and I don't put too much thought process behind it. I just post. If it's funny to me, which is where I know I'm funny, if you have that mindset, if it's funny to me, if
Mhm.
it makes me go, ha, that's funny, I just post it. So yeah, so that alone from May to now, I've gotten 100,000.
That's right.
So yeah. So that was nice. It was pretty cool, but it was just she just gave me advice to like stop caring about what
Mm.
the algorithm's supposed to be or how the system works, whatever. It's like if you want to be seen and get growth, just keep posting. Your videos will circulate if you just keep posting. And then that happened.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing your thing, man. You are. I'm proud of you. Really am.
Thanks.
Well, it's the truth. I am. I'm super proud. Like I said, I was boohoo crying. I really was when I
Hmm.
watched it. It's just amazing to see somebody that you know excelling and doing what they've put in all that hard work, and then they're having that moment. So
Hmm.
for me, though, I feel like clean comedy doesn't get a lot of respect. How do you feel about the term clean comedy?
Um, okay, this is something I came up with. I feel like clean comedy, the term, is equivalent to someone saying vegan or gluten-free food.
Mm,
You initially don't pay it any mind because you're like, ew, why would you? Oh, so it's not what the norm is. It's not the normal
right.
thing. Or it's like, my favorite story about vegan is like vegan was running rampant, right? Everybody's like, oh, vegan this, vegan that, vegan this, and is this vegan? And then Oreos are like, we've been vegan. We just never said it. Take that. That's what I feel clean comedy is. Clean comedy is
Mm,
like, hey, come to a show. It's gonna be clean comedy. So now people's mindsets are set on, hey, so why the rubber ducky squeak? And you're like, no, that's clean comedy is just simply uh I get like no language, really.
yeah, yeah,
There's
exactly.
I've seen so many clean comedy shows where so many things are implied, it's just never said. So it's like
Hmm.
there's a difference. There's like clean comedy, there's squeaky clean comedy, there's church comedy, but it's like anything that has a title on it. If you just say, "Hey, come to a comedy show, have a good time."
Right.
If you're
Exactly.
very sensitive about something, then okay, we'll put a title in front of the word comedy, but whatever. But it's like I literally there's a booker and promoter who I work with, and I've been working with him for forever. A lot of his shows are clean shows. He just
Mm,
doesn't say it on the thing. He just tells the comedians, "Hey, don't say this or this. You're fine." And then what happens? All these people show up and they go, "Hey, that was a great show. Fantastic show. Loved it." But the minute you put, "Hey, come to this clean comedy show," a lot of the things you get at the end is, "I didn't know what to expect. Because I love these comics." I've done church
mhm,
shows where they're like, "Hey, we don't want you to say this, this, and this." Then you get off the stage and they're like, Richard Pryor is my favorite comedian." And I'm like, "And you guys are the ones
mhm,
that were sensitive? You guys are sensitive about this stuff?" So it was like, but they always come with the expectation after the clean show of like, I honestly had no idea. It's like, yeah,
mhm,
because you have this thought in your mind. Oh, it's a gluten free. One of my favorite desserts in the world is a gluten free muffin. It's from
mm,
Trader Joe's. It is uh cinnamon coffee cake cinnamon muffin. That thing is brilliant. It's gluten free.
mhm,
And when I introduce this to other people, because my wife is gluten free, when I introduce it to other people, I go, "This is the greatest muffin you'll ever see. You got to try it." And then I'll be like, "You that? Yeah, it's gluten free." And they're like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Exactly." Because as long as if you don't like, if you need to be gluten free, you need to read the label, and they assume that they just took out sugar, and I'm like, "That's not how it works. The sugar and the flavor and all of that are still in there. Come on, guys." So yeah, so
Come on.
that's the term clean comedy. I'm not a fan of it, but I get there are reasons why it needs to be there, but it doesn't always need to be there. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say, for me, I've never heard someone say Sinbad's a clean comedian. All I've
Right,
heard people
never.
say is Sinbad is funny for the whole family. That is
Hmm.
so much better said.
So much.
Funny for the whole family? Perfect.
All right, Jordan, it's my last question.
All right.
Are you ready? Because it's a hard one.
I feel like it's about to be, what are you gonna have for lunch? That's what I feel like it's about to happen right
What
now.
are you gonna have for lunch, Jordan? Since you've been
It's actually
teasing
a
us.
Santa Maria barbecue chicken sandwich
Ooh,
from this place called Urbane Cafe.
okay.
I don't know if you've been. It's
No,
like
I
a
have
very
never been.
healthy kind of a spot.
Okay. Look at you being healthy.
They have what's it? Focaccia bread? I don't know how to pronounce it.
No, I think that's right.
Oh my gosh, that bread is
Okay. What is it
incredible.
called again?
Urbane. I used to say Urban Cafe, but I forgot there's a E. So it's like
Okay.
Urban with an E
I
Cafe.
see. Okay.
Is they yeah, they my two
I
favorite
will
things
look it
there
up.
is they have a salmon bowl and then they have this Santa Maria barbecue sandwich.
Oh, salmon bowl. That sounds really good. Jordan,
Mm-hmm.
stop trying to make me hungry.
Sorry, my bad. Salmon bowl.
Okay, the question really is, do you like yourself?
Oh, like that. That is a very deep question. It's deep because most people be like, yeah.
Right, right.
Then the tear flows. Well, absolutely. Yeah. That's such a it's a loaded question that people don't really think about that much. Um, I'll say yes, but there's things I still want to work on.
Hmm.
So like the number one thing for me is like I want so during COVID, I got bigger, but I also got
Hmm.
bigger, like bigger and bigger. So it's like personally, I want to try to get back to a certain like size. And it's
Hmm.
not that I'm doing it for other people. I want to do it for myself.
Right, right.
So,
I get you.
but like separate from that, like I like me, like
Yeah.
everything that comes with it. Um, yeah, I definitely like me. I feel like if you don't like yourself, you'll hinder yourself from a lot of things. You'll
Hmm.
cause, um, like everyone goes through pain, but I feel like if you don't give yourself grace in things, or if you don't accept who you are in certain things, you'll cause damage. Damage is the thing that a lot of people don't really hit on every because people always talk about the pain, but the damage of what you can do to yourself just on the small things, like do you like yourself? Because if you don't like
Hmm.
yourself, there's things that will happen where it'll be like, oh, this didn't work for me. And you know why? It's because I can't, blah, 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 blah. And the more you tell yourself you can't, at that point, it's going to cause a damage that it can still be fixed, but I feel like it's just a tougher thing to overcome because you'd have to accept you first. And before personally, again, everything I say is personal, take with a grain of salt, like how I feel. But I don't even think you can get down to like forgiving other people for
Hmm.
anything until you can forgive yourself and accept who you are and all this stuff. So it's like liking yourself should be number one priority is to make
Hmm.
sure you're good with you. So absolutely, I like myself. I love myself.
All right. Like I said, thank you, Pat. I was about to say pastor, but thank you, professor.
So I will say, I was told at a young age I was going to be a pastor, and I laughed. I was like, absolutely not.
You never know. Maybe when
Let me
you,
tell you,
I don't know if you ever want to retire from comedian, but it
how
seems
many
like
can go
that's a part of
forever?
you. You could do both.
I, I had
Sometimes
a
I'm not even kidding. I'm not trying to dog out pastors, but sometimes I've seen a lot of sermons that make me laugh more than anything. And I'm like,
that is
this would be
true.
great up stand up
No,
special.
the current pastor at my church, he is funny, and he has a thing where he says he always wanted to be a comedian, and now he is.
Mhm.
So
He's
yeah,
got an
he says
audience.
that, and he because I told him the story about me, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you got time." And I was like, "Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I will rather do this and do interviews where I say something that kind of sounds deep, but you're not about to
Right,
have
right.
me showing up after studying. All right, open those Bibles to like nah, I let me because then you got to get extra deep and all this. You got to go to school. I'm not going
Yep.
back to school. We're done. Nope. Unless we're good.
He said, did there, none that.
We're good. Yeah, we're not.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Jordan. I really appreciate you. And I appreciate all my guests for watching this. And I will see you next time on About That Life. Bye.